Hi, Elle.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elle Mills. Nice to meet you.
I went into YouTube wanting to be different,
Every once in a while, there's a unicorn.
wanting to do something that no one else has done before.
This is really cool. Being a YouTuber is a dream come true. This is all I ever wanted. And why the fuck am I so fucking unhappy? It doesn't make any fucking sense. You know what I mean?
Hi, Elle.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
What have you been up to? You have a lot of exciting things coming out. I'm
Yeah.
Just curious.
I mean, a few months ago started a podcast, so I've been doing that weekly. I just got a Twitch deal, so started streaming yesterday, actually.
Oh, wow.
So got that for the whole year. In 2 weeks, going to be shooting my first short film. It's been interesting, honestly, because I've only done YouTube for the past couple of years and trying out new things. It's been fun to kind of get the creative juices going in a new way.
What inspired you to get into video making?
I was a little bit of a loser, but a loser that was kind of friends with everyone. I was president of my school. I was valedictorian.
wow.
I was huge into clubs. I loved high school was my shit. But outside of high school, I was editing Glee fan videos. I was always making videos since I was, I think, 5th grade. Was when I pulled up Windows Movie Maker for the first time.
That was the first editing software I used too.
Yeah. And then I think 8th grade, my dad got me a laptop, a MacBook, so I started using iMovie, and then quickly went to Final Cut. But yeah, I've always kind of been the kid who was making videos for the school. When I first started doing YouTube, I used to make trailer edits, movie trailer edits, and then I'd started doing comedy videos, and then the conscious decision was to kind of combine that. I had definitely put my love for film into my videos. So yeah.
Was there either a filmmaker, a film, or a YouTube creator that served as inspiration to you as a filmmaker?
Oh yeah, Ferris Bueller.
Bueller.
Yeah,
Nice.
I always say, I
Interesting.
remember watching that. I think I watched the first time in 8th grade because I was doing comedy videos and I was not happy. I didn't feel creatively fulfilled. And so I was like, okay, what can I do to make myself feel better, I guess. And so I was like, I love how Ferris Bueller breaks that fourth wall. In a way, it was kind of like doing the YouTube thing. And so, yeah, I was a huge YouTube fan, but I also did love movies and films. But I did take huge, inspiration from Casey. But not his vlogging stuff. His
early stuff.
His early stuff. I remember specifically thinking I really want to kind of take that and kind of mesh it with what people are doing on YouTube, which is telling my story and getting personal.
So when do you go from making Glee videos or genre swap trailers to making videos about yourself?
Well, I always wanted to be in front of the camera. It was just that video did really well. And so I started doing the trailers. And then I got to a point where I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be known for this. I want to be in front of the camera. And so that's when I pivoted. And I started, I think for the first 3 months I was doing it, I pivoted and started doing me in front of the camera. It wasn't doing well. And then one video picked up on Twitter. It was the interviewing my friend's Tinder dates. So I got my friend to swipe on Tinder and we met up with 3 of the guys and I just interviewed them and it did really well. And
That's a pretty gutsy video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
and then it started the era of doing crazy stuff for YouTube videos. One of them being getting legally married.
I remember that.
Tattoos. I got tattoos. I was just, people always ask me about my tattoos and I'm like, yeah, this is I don't know. I refer to my tattoos as a phase of the teenager phase of my life and the YouTube phase of my life, I guess.
You had this style that was so specific. How did you land on that style?
There's literally an unlisted video where before I made that first video of that Ferris Bueller style, I was like, I'm going to be doing something different. I want to step it up. I think you guys are going to really like it, and I really consciously made that decision to switch over.
That's the classic YouTuber update video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
No,
is
that's
always generally
classic.
better if you don't put it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just go ahead and do whatever you said you were going to do.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, in our early days, we have 4 update videos that were twists and turns of hey guys, now the channel's going to be like this. And
Yes.
then we
All the
do that.
titles are like, hey, it's us.
Yeah.
Hey, we're back.
Yeah.
Hey, us again.
Where this channel's headed. Yeah, it's a dark time in a YouTuber journey. Yeah, those update videos. So did you feel pressure about consistency at this time? Or was it so early days that you were just this is fun?
I think near once it started getting to those videos, because they really do take a lot out of me. That's when the consistency started to decrease and it was hard to keep it up. because I think a big thing about it was I wasn't making money on YouTube at the time. I was really, I was making a little bit, but because I used copyrighted music, I was just like spending way more than I was making. But I was like, to me, I was just like, I don't know, I'm very like, it's an investment. So, and I think it worked out.
And it was, it worked out. So now you're making these videos. You've obviously changed kind of YouTube in this way of developing this like 80s movie format on YouTube where you're the main character, you're breaking the fourth wall. It's so unique to the point where arguably the biggest creator on the platform at the time, Casey Neistat, basically dedicates a video to you. Yeah. And I remember you had around 750,000 subs at this time. And, you know, I was an avid fan of Casey, watched the vlog every day. And he had, I think, so much influence that the amount of people that probably went over to you that day. So can you take us through that experience?
Yeah.
Like that day of being like, whoa, did Casey Neistat just shout me out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I do remember, because I was subscribed to him, obviously.
Yeah.
I saw his video on my subscription page and I saw my link.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Because this is also right after my coming out video. And that video, it was just chaotic because that's my biggest video.
Right.
And it blew up and there were like celebrities tweeting about it. So I was already in like a very like, what is going on part of my life. And I remember seeing that. I have a video of it. I don't know where it is, but I freaked. I was screaming. I was like, because I literally drew inspiration from him, and he did what my intention with YouTube which was doing something that no one has ever done before, and he did that. And so to have him spend half a video talking so highly about me, it was surreal. It was insane.
She is someone who I think is pushing the boundaries of YouTube, creating content that's just brilliant.
I still am very like grateful for that because he didn't have to do that at all. I just remember freaking out. I think I was calling my friends and stuff, but yeah, it's because then shortly after he had like that Samsung video, you know, the Winter Wonderland, and he like flew me out. And I remember meeting him for the first time. He came out and he came up to me and I was just like, whoa, this is so trippy. Like I was just like, this ain't real. It's so surreal.
So this pocket of time is like essentially a slingshot for you, right? It's like a rocket ship. And you mentioned that prior to the Casey shout out, you also came out on YouTube.
Yes.
Can you talk through that experience and even the decision to turn something so personal into, you know, a YouTube video and share it with the community?
Looking back, like I was very impulsive and very like open book on YouTube specifically. I felt like it was like my therapy, like a way for me to, it was my journal, basically. I think I only had come to realization that I, like, at the time, because I came out recently as gay, but back then I came to the decision, I was like, okay, I feel like I'm bi 2 weeks before I posted the video. And so it was very fast, very impulsive. I didn't tell any of my friends and family. I think my sister found out through a friend, because the video went out, and she was actually really upset about that. So I think about that period of time as like, I'm happy that everything happened, but I think I was using YouTube as a way to communicate my feelings and my thoughts to even my family and friends.
Wow.
Which was, to have that so publicly too, like not have my dad or my mom know what's going on, but have to find out through a YouTube video. I guess that's something I look back on, and I think, you know, I've learned from that. And like I have my boundaries set during that time, having my vulnerability be so closely associated to success. Like all my biggest videos were when I was like being super open and vulnerable. It was, I think, very confusing in my head, because I think I then was like, I have to be so open and blunt. That's like the biggest lesson I think I've learned from that time, is just like setting those boundaries, because, you know, not everyone deserves your vulnerability.
I totally. I think vulnerability as content gets really confusing when it's your career, because then the videos are your product. And then if your vulnerability is tied into that product, I can see how that gets really confusing.
There was a wave of vulnerability on YouTube, I feel like, during that time too, where you could see it from like creator to creator to creator. And I think it probably had to do with the fact that a lot of creators were getting a little bit burnt out, were having realizations about themselves. But it was, I remember thinking like the platform right now is full of vulnerability.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that very well. I think you were at the forefront of that movement of, I think in a lot of ways, it being super positive to be, hey, let's be more transparent. Let's open up. Let's have these conversations. I imagine your coming out video, first of all, it is such a beautifully crafted video. And I watched it again last night and it gave me chills again. Like I've seen that video so many times. First of all, from a filmmaking perspective, one of the most brilliant parts of that video is when you ask people to draw your crush.
Yeah.
So
That is such a incredible moment, and it's so complex on so many levels.
And from a connection standpoint, it is interesting because in that moment, as a audience member, I am actually more connected to you than the people sitting in front of the camera.
Because I know something they don't know. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then seeing their reactions is just like incredible.
Yeah.
It's an incredible, incredibly well-crafted video. I wonder if did you feel more confident articulating these things in video than face-to-face?
Oh,
with
absolutely.
someone?
Yeah. I think, as you can see, I stutter over my words a lot. I feel like I'm an anxious person, and I don't, especially when it comes to the people I love most. It's hard. Vulnerability is very, very hard for me. And so it was a little bit of a cheat because I'm being vulnerable with a camera and I don't have to, do it in person. It's less anxiety inducing.
How soon after the coming out video did you have mixed feelings about that video?
I think a few months after, because again, I had only really came into terms with my sexuality 2 weeks before, but then it became my biggest video. And I was being put on the magazine of LGBTQ magazines. I was being asked all these questions, and I think I became the face of something that I hadn't really figured out on my own. I didn't have time to process it.
And at the time, as a creator, you're in the middle of the cycle.
Yeah.
That video comes about partly because of the system that you're in with YouTube, where you need to make another video in 2 weeks, and then you have to make another one right after that.
Yeah.
And you're in that period where it's super exciting right when you release the video, but then you switch and you're like, okay, next video.
Yes.
Right.
No.
Even though that was such a personal and impactful thing to your life, as a creator, you're like, switch.
No, yeah. And the video following up after that actually caused in my personal life a lot of, because I was I had that thought. I was like, shit. It was so weird because I was like, I have to top my coming out video. It's so weird.
Right.
It's a weird concept.
Yeah, you've set a new bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
And having Casey Neistat make a video, I was like, shit, he's watching now. I was and all these people I look up to are watching, and I'm like, shit, what can the next video be? What can the next video be? And so definitely push myself.
I actually think the pressure of having a really big video is immense. It's immense. Anytime we've had a video that pops, all I can think about is all these people came. If we don't follow it up with a good video, they're all going to leave.
Yeah.
And that's incredible pressure. And I think one thing I'm really grateful for is that we've been doing this for 10 years, and only now are we starting to get into who we are on the platform. And I think now after 10 years, our maturity level and our emotional maturity level is such that this stuff impacts us less, and we can look at this career a little differently. But I want to understand deeper what that moment was like. Coming out video, Casey Neistat shout out. What was the next video, and how was your mental state at this time? Was it wow, I'm doing it, I'm making it? Or was it more than that?
I think it was shit, it's happening. But definitely this was the beginning of that burnout part of my life. The intense, the peak of it. The video I followed up with it after I got legally married to my sister's boyfriend as a prank. And I didn't tell my family, didn't tell my sister. We went to Vegas, got married, came back. I didn't realize how much it meant to my family, I guess. And so my mom actually said I wasn't allowed to post the video. Because it actually, everyone started crying. It was I was like, oh shit, this went bad. And so she really was like, how far are you going to go for YouTube? Eventually we kind of worked it out, and I was able to release the video. I had to really talk about how stupid it was, and just edit around it. I don't even remember the videos after that. I just do remember that was from there on out, it became not fun. I did feel immense pressure because it was just all happening so fast. And I feel there was a lot of pressure on the editing, the storytelling, the ideas, and how big the ideas were. And I was doing it all on my own. There was no team, so it felt very personal. It if a video didn't do well and stuff. So yeah, and it got to the point where I was just afraid of posting videos because I'm like, oh shit, what if this doesn't hit 1 million views? And then it just, spiraled and life got hectic and stuff. So
as I'm sure you can tell, the career of being a creator is extremely difficult, but luckily there are some companies today that make it far easier than it used to be. And one of those companies is JellySmack.
JellySmack helps creators unlock their full potential. They work with some of the biggest creators on the platform, like Mr. Beast, PewDiePie, Phil DeFranco, and Yes Theory, but they also work with creators of all sizes.
JellySmack generated over $100,000 in incremental revenue for 2/3 of its creators last year.
So here's how it works. JellySmack and their team will take your YouTube videos and they'll cut them for all the different platforms. Then they'll find audience on those platforms and start to generate revenue. And they'll do all of this with their team and their technology, which optimizes all the content for the different platforms. Now, if you're thinking that you could cut these videos yourself, the reality is as creators, we have to be working on our next video. So having a partner like JellySmack to take our library of content and help us find more audience and actually find more revenue across the internet, that is incredibly helpful.
As a creator, when you partner with JellySmack, they take care of all of the financial risk.
And they'll even invest in the content to make sure that it's finding the largest possible audience. We've been working with JellySmack all year, and we actually got to go with their team to Vid Summit and speak on stage with them. And we got to wear the boy band mics. I mean, you were there.
I do know because I was wearing them, but they are experts. I consider us to be experts at certain aspects of being a creator, but they have so many people on their team that understand so much more than we do.
So if you're a creator who has a big library of content and you feel like you're a good fit for JellySmack, head over to jellysmack.com, click get in touch, and tell them Colin and Samir sent you. It was like a movie watching you rise because you won YouTuber of the Year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You were on magazines. First of all, those magazine shoots were so cool. And I was just like, when is this going to happen to us?
Yeah.
And it was just so cool. You were the creator that came from, obscurity and just was skyrocketed into success. During that time of even like winning the Shorty Award and doing the magazine shoots, were you starting to feel like question if this is what you actually wanted? Like, was it everything you dreamed?
I remember really early on, I'd say like the first YouTube event I went to, which was like, I think prior to the coming out video, that's when I really felt like, oh my God, like I was going up to every creator. I was like, oh my God, can I get a photo? Like I was like, I can't believe I'm back here. I'm like, it felt so fun and surreal. But then when it got to that point, I fell into depression and I started, my anxiety got really worse. And I think I had my first panic attack on tour. I think now looking back, it's like I was just burnt out, and everything was happening so fast. I didn't have time to process anything. There was that pressure of keeping up the content, and I felt like it was all. I felt very much like this isn't gonna last. That's how I felt during that entire period. Even though like I didn't feel like I could enjoy it because I was like, I have to keep it up to. This is all gonna fall apart. So I feel like that's what I was feeling around the time, and I was having really dark thoughts. I was alone a lot. I went from I was living with my mom, but I was home. I was not. I think I was traveling. Like I don't even remember. I remember like traveling so much. Like I was barely home, and I was alone in hotel rooms a lot. And I feel like I remember even for like I think 2 years after like kind of 2018. Hotel rooms would be kind of triggering to me. Like I get very anxious in hotel rooms, especially when I'm alone. It was better with other people there, but just kind of reminded me of like being alone with my thoughts, and feeling this intense, like, because again, like I was a huge YouTube fan growing up. So I've said this a lot, but like, I think a big part of it was that it meant so much to me. This was like my dream and I got it. And I'm like, shit, if I fuck up, it's all over. And then what? But yeah, it got to a point where I broke down, and I had a very public breakdown because I started drinking a lot, and I was kind of drinking my problems away at that age, which is. Sorry.
Why don't we just wrap all this?
That's it. It's over.
It's over. Yeah, the whole interview scrapped. Elle's in the most personal part of this story, Chris.
But yeah, I mean, I was just. I think I feel like everyone has. Not everyone has. Well, it was very public.
Everyone has seen it all.
Yeah.
You could say that. So, the video you made about burnout, I think it's called "Burnt Out at 19."
Yes.
This is all I ever I so fucking unhappy?
Colin and I got to see that before it was posted to YouTube at Bufferfest.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
And we went to Bufferfest primarily because we were incredibly lost. We had some success on YouTube and we wanted to try something different. So we started this channel, Colin and Samir, and we had years of not making any money, feeling confused, not being able to find our footing on YouTube. And we were in a moment where we were really burnt out. And I don't think we knew that, but we were in a bad place. And we went to Bufferfest just to like get some inspiration. And I think we have a video recording of us like starting to watch your video.
Yeah.
I think we were like, maybe we'll make a video about going to Bufferfest.
Like, so in the cycle, you know, of being burnt down, but being like, we're going to Bufferfest. Let's just film that. And I think we have a story here.
Yeah.
We're like, we're burnt out and we need a moment to step away, but that moment to step away will be a video about stepping away
Or something.
Like,
We're not there
yet. And we sat down to watch it, and I'll never forget the emotion I felt watching that video. And specifically, there's a moment where it's just a dark room and there's a laptop on a bed and you hear your audio.
I'm really fucking over it, to be honest. Like, I'm really fucking over it. It's this fucking cycle. It won't fucking end, you know what I mean?
It struck, I think, both of us in a way that was so intense that it actually, I think, is what helped the transformation for us of where we are today, was that video.
It definitely wasn't immediate, but it was the start. And I think
it was the start. Yeah.
You know, for me, I spent the majority of my 20s living by myself out here, and I'm also the primary editor, and at the time was doing so much of the editing, and seeing that laptop on the bed just resonated with me so much, and like pretty much just made me immediately start to cry. So I was like, oh man, like I hate that feeling actually of being like distraught, alone on my bed. My room is a mess.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get some creative project together. And after that, we actually decided to take a serious break. And I went home for, serious, but I went home for 3 or 4 weeks at the time. Yeah.
I mean, we just decided like we have to stop.
Like
right
whatever
now.
we're doing is not as important.
Yeah.
Like clearly immediately it's not as important. From the second we walk out of this door, whatever we were doing before, it's just like,
It was actually a sense of relief when we walked out of Bufferfest. We took a photo with you there. I don't know if you remember this. Okay. But I want to hear about the decision to make that video and what the process was like of making that video.
I had committed to Buffer. And so I had that lined up and everything happened. And I think I took like a 3-week break after that breakdown. And I went to London, as you see in the video. And there, because a lot of my friends there were going to Buffer, LA. We were kind of thinking, I'm like, should I make a video? Should I not? And I was like, I feel like I have to talk about it because it was so, I really made a scene about it online. And so I was like, I had to, do what I do best and explain myself and through video. Basically, I left my hometown because it was really hard on my family. And I feel like felt very smothered. And I get it because I obviously was not well. And I flew out to London to get away from it and to immerse myself with people who get it. And so after a couple of days, I felt like I was ready to talk about it during that trip as that laptop. I had sent that audio note to my friend, and there were little things like that. I was like, okay, I think I have some stuff here to really explain myself, explain my story, and there's no happy ending to this because usually my videos there's a happy ending. And so I remember ending it off with once I realized, I was like, I can tell this story and be like, I still don't know. I'm figuring it out. That's when I decided, okay, I'm going to make this.
My videos usually have some sort of all is good in the world kind of endings, but unfortunately, this video doesn't have one.
It was definitely, looking back, a lot to premiere that video in a theater full of people. Yeah. Very vulnerable. I remember having a bit of a panic attack before it came out, it premiered, and I remember holding on to my friend's hands. It was just super surreal because also I got a standing ovation. Yeah. Which, I don't know, it was just it's just such a weird concept. Everything that you saw in that video happened a week prior to that premiere. So it was all so fresh. Again, back to the impulsive thing, I was still so in it, and it was just very surreal, but I'm very happy, obviously. There's so much, I feel good that came from talking about it so openly.
Yeah.
And kind of the domino effect from that.
And what were the events that led up to that video? Like, again, I remember, I think it was a tweet of yours that was written by someone at Fullscreen.
So there's specifically one day, it was right after Playlist Live 2018. I had just came back for that, and I had a really hard time there, and a lot of breakdowns, a lot of panic attacks. And I think I came home, and that morning it was like 8 a.m., 9 a.m., started drinking, and I broke. I just snapped, and I turned on the camera and just was just like venting, and I posted it. And from there, I honestly kind of blacked out that day, not from the drinking, but from just it was just so much. And that's kind of when everyone, my family, friends, manager were like, we have to stop. And that was middle of tour. I think we canceled the rest of the dates, and that's when Fullscreen put that statement out. And I think I had someone come on, sign on my behalf and write something. And then the only thing that after that was the video. But yeah, the build up to that was honestly coming out video on
All the way there.
So I think that was 4 months.
And at that time, when you canceled the rest of the tour dates, did you also have other brand deliverables and different types of things you had to do?
I think Buffer was on. We were should we cancel my appearance or not? And was kind of. I think it was just tour. I believe, but yeah, I think so.
I think it's incredible that you were very vulnerable during this time. I think there's probably some of that again was very complex of is this content? Is this my experience? What is this? But I think even reflecting on it now and talking about it now, there's a lot of creators who are experiencing accelerated success today. Like what YouTube, TikTok is today versus what it was back then.
Yeah.
This type of acceleration is happening a lot more often now. What do you feel like from that point to now? Do you feel like you've done to have a healthier relationship with content, or do you feel like you have a healthier relationship?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think the pandemic has helped. Right. It's kind of stopped everything, made everyone stop. And I think it made me reevaluate, made me think. I feel like I've grown a lot in the past year and a half, 2 years. I almost don't recognize, the person I was when the pandemic started. And I think it made me really think about what I want long term. I guess I don't hold as closely as I did before. The numbers, how do I say this? It's not a representation of my value, I guess. You know, that's a hard thing to understand. And I think that's a hard thing to grasp, especially when you're so in it. But over the past 2 years, I think I really have come to terms with that. And I think with all these other projects going on, I think I'm kind of taking a bit of a step back from YouTube. I feel like I saw David Dobrik talk about this. He's talked about ending the vlogs over, because he's I want to end on a high.
Yeah. Yep.
I kind of have that a bit where I'm I did what I needed to do. I accomplished what I set to do. And I feel like something that was happening with YouTube was that the burnout process for me was I'm burning myself out because I've given my all to it. So that's why with these, I think something else has helped with my mental health and my relationship with social media is starting fresh, starting Twitch, podcasts, this short film. My next step is writing and directing. I really feel very passionate about that. And I think it's a way for me to take what I have done on YouTube and kind of go to the next level with it. Yeah. And I can't really do YouTube, be creating content like that and be making short films like that at the same time. So, I feel Twitch and podcasts are a way for me to express myself and get creative in a way that isn't as draining. And I don't know, it's just really cool and new projects. So I've been saying it reminds me of 2017. I'm getting back into it, starting from the ground up, and it's fun, it's exciting, and I think that was a big thing,
I have one last question for you, which is, during those dark times, when you look back on that now, if there are other creators who are experiencing that, what is your advice?
A video not doing well isn't the end of the world. It really isn't. And if the numbers start going down, it isn't the end of the world. It really isn't. There's so much more to life than just that. I know there's that pressure in like that thing I was talking about earlier, like you have it now. And you're so scared of losing it, but it's like, just enjoy it because there's an end to everything. No matter what, it's gonna end. Well, I don't know. Some people will get it lucky, but I mean, for the most part, like, you know, there's so many people that jump to success and then it's waves, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just...
It's ebbs and flows.
Ebbs and flows,
and
absolutely.
It actually is guaranteed that it's ebbs and flows. And I think that's the interesting part is that you have to go into any career being like, I know for a fact it's going to go up and it's going to go down. That's guaranteed.
Even for creators at the very top where you
Yeah.
think they're always going to be at that level.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, cool. Elle,
Cool.
thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, guys.
Do you have any questions for us?